Welcome to the Minnesota Rovers Tuesday evening presentation. Minnesota Rovers is an outdoors club based in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Our members organize trips that range from 1 hour to 2 weeks in Minnesota or further afield. Examples of our activities include hiking, biking, backpacking, skiing, snowshoeing, paddling, and rock climbing. We also organize conservation and trail clearing trips. Our members have experience and skills in many outdoor activities, so if you want to learn a new outdoor activity, we can probably help you. For more information, go to mnrovers.org. Now let's move on to this week's presentation.
Tonight, you're here to learn more about the Minnesota Master Naturalist program from Griffin Bray. Griffin Bray is an extension educator at the University of Minnesota. Based in St. Cloud, Minnesota, his job with the Minnesota Master Naturalist program takes him around the state to help people explore and learn more about the natural world. So, with that, I want to welcome Griffin. Thank you so much for being with us, and I will turn it over to you to tell us all about the Minnesota Master Naturalist program.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me and letting me come and speak. I promise not to bore you too much. So I'm just going to get started sharing the screen. Can everyone see that okay? Perfect. Now, I have been told that there may be some Minnesota Master Naturalists among us. If you are a Master Naturalist, well, skipping ahead. If you're a Master Naturalist, can you let me know with a thumbs up, or gonna just do a quick survey? All right. Looks like we've got at least one. So wonderful. So yeah, my name is Griffin. I'm with the Minnesota Master Naturalist program, and we're going to just give a brief overview of the program. We are celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, so there will be a little bit of a historical look as well as a discussion about what we do and, if you're interested, how you can get involved. During the program, I will not be able to see the chat, but you're welcome to put questions in the chat. Or if you have a really burning question that you really want answered right away, you are welcome to interrupt me. I will not be offended. So any questions in the chat, I'll make sure to get to afterwards. But with all of that, I think we can get started. So the Minnesota Master Naturalist program is a program run by the University of Minnesota Extension. And our mission is to promote awareness, understanding, and stewardship of Minnesota's natural environment by developing a core of well-informed citizens dedicated to conservation education and conservation service within their communities. So we are at our core a volunteer program. All of the things that we're able to do are because of the amazing Master Naturalist volunteers that contribute, I would say, countless hours, but we do actually count all of their hours, so we know exactly how many hours it is, but contribute a ridiculous amount of hours to make sure that Minnesota's wild places are cared for. Now, we did not invent the Master Naturalist program. It's actually a national concept. The first Master Naturalist program started in Texas in the late 1990s. And since then, there are now Master Naturalist or volunteer naturalist programs in, I believe, 49 of the 50 states. North Dakota has not yet created theirs, but it will probably be on the way shortly. Now, some of these are called Master Naturalist programs. Some are volunteer naturalist programs. Michigan just got rid of all other words except for Michigan and naturalist, but they are all at their core the same thing, a program for volunteers to learn about and contribute to natural stewardship. So in Minnesota, we started this process in about 2005 with focus groups and surveys to see if people were interested. And we led the first core class, I believe it was in June of 2005, for 22 people. We now have many thousands of active Master Naturalist volunteers. So we've grown a lot since then. Now, we did choose the Master Naturalist name. We could have gone with Volunteer Naturalist or one of the others, but we decided that the Master Naturalist name gives the program a little bit of recognition. So maybe people haven't heard of Master Naturalist, but I'm betting that most of you are very familiar with the Master Gardener program, or at least have heard of it. So it has that name recognition and lets people know that, yes, you, after going through this program, you know some things about the nature and ecosystems and natural history of Minnesota. Now, we also don't teach all of the courses ourselves. So there are 3 educators on the statewide team. And as much as we would love to teach all of the courses that we have, it's physically impossible. So we train instructors from different nature centers. So I know we have several instructors at Dodge Nature Center and many other nature centers around the state. We train those instructors in the process of delivering a Master Naturalist course, not the content, because that varies depending on the site. And then they go out and lead classes at those sites for anyone interested. We're going to talk a little bit more about what those classes look like in a second. But before we get too far in, I really want to bring up what we'd say our motto, but it's not really a motto. It's not a sentence. So the mantra for our program is we want all of our Master Naturalists to explore. We'd like them to teach and conserve Minnesota's natural resources. So if you enjoy going outside, that's exploration. So if you're going through the core course, you haven't learned everything that there is to know about Minnesota's nature, you can go outside and explore new places or explore the places you love at different times of the year. We encourage everyone to get out and learn more through physical experiences out in nature. As a Master Naturalist, you have a little bit more knowledge about some of the topics than maybe some of the folks in your neighborhood do. There's opportunities to help share your knowledge about what's out there with other people, whether that's neighbors, through public programs, or with your own families. We encourage our Master Naturalists to teach other people what they know. And of course, we want them to volunteer to help conserve Minnesota's ecological heritage, because sometimes things need a little bit of help. If any one of you has ever been out to pull buckthorn or garlic mustard or do anything like that, you know how much help some ecosystems might need. So we hope that our Minnesota Master Naturalists give back to their more than human neighbors. So how do we get our Master Naturalists to explore, teach, and conserve? That's a great question. To do that, we start off with that instructor training. So we invite people from all around Minnesota, if they're associated with an organization like a nature center or a college or an environmental learning center, or we have folks who are associated with many of the tribal nations go through this program. They are trained in how to deliver a Master Naturalist curriculum. So depending on where they are in the state, the plants and animals that they have in their region might be a little bit different. So we're not going to tell them, these are the facts you must teach, but instead give them the toolkit that we use as Master Naturalist instructors. They then go on to perform the volunteer education, the bread and butter of the Master Naturalist program, where those instructors go out and they interface with people who want to learn. This is the fun part that I'm really upset I don't get to teach all of our courses, because I loved this part. But our instructors do too, because they teach a lot of courses, as we're going to see in a little bit. And because they teach a lot of courses, we get a lot of this last and probably most important part, the volunteer service. So Master Naturalists, after going through the core biome course, they are required to do 40 hours of service every year. And if they do, they get a fancy pin. And that service is really what our end goal is. We want to teach people about nature, but we also want to make a positive impact on the ecosystems that we all enjoy. Because if no one gets rid of the buckthorn, that park's not going to look as nice in a couple of years. So we want to make sure that all of our volunteers are getting well informed, and to do that, we have a lot of partner organizations. So, like I said, the University of Minnesota Extension kind of houses the Master Naturalist program. They pay the statewide team, who are the ones responsible for developing curriculum and all that. But without our local nature centers and other organizations that partner with us to lead the trainings and offer continuing education and especially provide volunteer opportunities, I wouldn't be talking about this program with you guys. It would be 5 people in a basement of a building on the Twin Cities campus. But because of this, because of these wonderful partners that we have, we're able to do so much more than any of us in Extension could possibly dream of. And I say this looking at all of the data that we've collected for the past 20 years. Some of the things that we've done are just outstanding, and it's only possible because of dedicated volunteers and dedicated partner organizations. So it's really wonderful what you can accomplish when you get a team of people together. Now, the part that most people, I've come to realize, associate with the Master Naturalist program is our curriculum, or what we teach people. Now, the curriculums in the Master Naturalist program are biome-based, which means we have 3 curriculums depending on where you are in the state. So, do we have anyone here from the western side of the state? Kind of the prairie area. No? All right. Well, for those folks over there, we do have one that's focused mostly on prairie ecosystems. If you are from up north, like probably just about north of Brainerd, all the way through International Falls and all that, we have a curriculum based on the Northwoods ecosystem. And for all of us in the Twin Cities and St. Cloud and kind of the middle part of the state here, we focus on the Big Woods and the Mississippi River because we have it. So depending on where you are, we want to make sure that the course is experience-based. Because, yeah, we can talk about prairies if you're up in Duluth, but not a whole lot of prairies that you can go visit up there. So we want to make sure that these courses kind of represent what you're going to be seeing out in the wild where you are. So we have 3 statewide educators. We have 3 biome courses. This little 4th one up here, the Aspen Parklands, gets lumped into the Big Woods. So each one of us takes one of those biomes. And I'm lucky enough to get the Big Woods. So if you have any questions about the Big Woods, Big Rivers biome, which if you're in the Twin Cities metro area, you are in, feel free to ask me after the program, and I'm happy to talk your ear off about it. So, like I said, we want these courses to be experience-based, so they all have at least some field component. People go out on a field trip, at least 2 field trips during the course. Some courses are taught entirely outside. Even when they're taught completely online, there's still a mandatory field trip that everyone needs to go on, so they get that hands-on experience in the field. Now, these courses do cost some. It's about $295 a course, with the caveat that if that's a financial hardship, you can apply for a scholarship. And most people get the scholarships. We are happy to make this affordable to anyone that requires it. So even if you can only pay like $5 to take the course, we'll figure it out and you'll take the course for $5. So that's just a conversation with the instructional staff. And, like we said, we don't want this to be keeping people out. We're happy to make any accommodations necessary. Now, in this biome course, we wanted to give people kind of a general overview of what's out there in Minnesota. So for each biome, we talk about a whole list of things: the geology of the area, the plants and animals that they can find there, the animals and plants and ecosystems above and below water, as well as how to talk about these concepts to other people, or environmental interpretation education, as well as the impact that we have on these biomes. Now, regardless of what biome you take, these topics are going to be the same, but the exact concepts, the exact information is going to vary a little bit. So we actually have some people who take all three so they can learn everything there is to know about Minnesota. Uh, those people have a little bit more time on their hands than I do, but I respect them very much for their commitment. So to teach these curriculums, we have a whole host of materials that the Master Naturalist team wrote, and I'm kicking myself because I left all of these in my office, so I can't hold them up and show you. But each biome has a core textbook, which is, not the big things that you would get in college where it's that thick and you can kill someone by dropping it on them. They're, maybe about 150, 200 pages. And to go along with that course book, we have what we call Linnaeus lists, which are kind of small field guides with a selection of the species that you might find in any of these ecosystems. In addition, we have a little guide to Minnesota trees for people who are taking the Northwoods or Big Woods class, because we have a lot of trees in these areas. And for those on the prairies where the trees are a little bit more sparse, there's a nice little field guide to grasses. And all of these are provided to participants in the courses for free. It's part of your course registration fee, and you get to keep the books after that. So you might find a couple of these in circulation out there, but they're really only available through those courses, because otherwise you can just buy it and you don't need to take the course with us. But we want you to have the fun experience. But if you ask around, someone might be able to show you what some of them look like. I would, but I forgot mine in my lab or my office. Now, in addition to going through the course and having those experiences, we have all of our Master Naturalist volunteers in training complete what we call a capstone project. Now, the capstone project takes all of the concepts that they learned in class, so something to do with nature or educating others or stewardship work, and they turn it into a project that they then present at graduation. And this project is kind of their stepping stone from learning about things in the course to doing the volunteer service. And these capstone projects they vary a lot. So we've had groups do seed collecting. Some groups have created websites to showcase the diverse naturalists out there, because our textbook was written a little while ago and the naturalists in our first chapter are not very diverse. Capstone Group created an entire, I won't say encyclopedia, but it's almost getting to be an encyclopedia of diverse naturalists. Some people go on to create educational and materials that they can use for programs at different nature centers. Some create trails. Some cut down massive amounts of buckthorn. They just do a whole host of projects that hopefully get them from learning about things in the classroom to going out and doing service. Now, for Master Naturalists, we do ask that people record their service so they can get those fancy pins. And service falls within generally 4 types of activities. So if you're a Master Naturalist, you can volunteer to do some kind of education or interpretation. That would be something like leading a hike for a nature center or giving a talk over Zoom, maybe like this. Or, creating some signs or brochures, anything like that where you're educating or sharing nature with other people. Now, some of our volunteers really don't like to get in front of people. They'd rather be lit on fire than, give a program and talk to other people. So we also have other categories like doing stewardship work. And I'm not going to say clearing buckthorn because I've said it so much, but maybe like clearing garlic mustard or planting a prairie garden or a butterfly garden or something of that nature where you're helping nature get along and do the things that it's supposed to do. That's excellent stewardship volunteer work, and we see a lot of people record that. Now, some folks get really into citizen science or community science, we should probably be calling it now, but this would be, submitting observations to platforms like iNaturalist or recording data on the movement of birds and anything that scientists can then go and use in their own research. And in fact, we've had Master Naturalists contribute to what is now published research on things like what exactly visits the gut piles that hunters leave behind after they kill a deer. Actual citizen science project. that master naturalists have contributed to, looking through lots of pictures of little mice and birds going around deer gut piles. Not quite my idea of a fun afternoon, but someone, I guess, enjoys it. Now, in addition to education, stewardship, and citizen science, we also have what we call program support, which is volunteers helping organizations pretty much keep the lights on. So if you volunteer to stuff envelopes for a nature center to get word out about something, or maybe you're volunteering for like a Halloween pumpkin hike and you're carving thousands of jack-o'-lanterns, those would be great examples of program support that I can tell you from experience the nature centers are very happy that you're helping with, and helps get you closer to your Master Naturalist service hours. So these are very broad categories, and sometimes we get questions about, does this count in that category? And our answer is, if you think it counts, it probably counts. So we're happy that people are getting out and volunteering. We are not as concerned with policing exactly what it is they're doing when they do so. Now, in addition to completing 40 hours of service to be considered a Master Naturalist, we also recognize that our core course, even though it's about a 40-hour commitment, doesn't teach you everything that there is to know about Minnesota. Heck, a 4-year degree doesn't teach you everything there is to know about Minnesota. So we encourage our Master Naturalists to do 8 hours of what we call advanced training or continuing education a year. So when they do these 8 hours of quote unquote advanced training, what kind of things can they choose? And the answer is, as long as it's new to them, they can do it. So if you have someone who is just getting into birding, taking a beginning birding class at a nature center is advanced training. If you have someone who's an expert birder, that doesn't fly so well. But as long as it's advanced to the Master Naturalist, that's all we care about. We also hope that it expands on the things that we taught in the core curriculum, because if you're learning the exact same thing that you learned in your class, probably not exactly advanced, but as with volunteering, there's a lot of leeway. And as rovers, if you want, I'm sure that some of your hikes would also count as Master Naturalist advanced training. So if any Master Naturalists are listening to this recording or in the audience right now, our one Master Naturalist friend in the audience right now, you might be able to count that as advanced training if you learn some new things on those hikes. I'm also in charge of advanced training, so if you have questions about that, feel free to ask me. So those are, and yep, like I said, we want to self-select based on interest. So if you're really not interested in, say, snakes or frogs like I am, you don't need to go attend a snake or a frog workshop. If it's not your thing, don't do it. But if you love them, you can go ahead. That's probably fine. Now, what do you get when you complete all of your biome course and your 40 hours of 40 hours of volunteer service and 8 hours of advanced training? Well, at the end of your course, you get a fancy name tag that says Master Naturalist on it, the date that you took the course, and depending on the biome you're in, you get a pin. So if you took the prairie biome, you get this pin with the prairie colored in. If you took the big woods, big rivers, you'd get this one in the middle, and Northwoods, you get the Northwoods pin. And for those people who I said were really intense and took all three, they get a really special pin with all of the biomes colored in. So I think that some people take all three just to get that extra pin. I have no data to back this up yet, but they're very proud of it when they get that final pin. Now, speaking of pins, for every year that you complete your 40 hours of volunteer service and your 8 hours of advanced training, Master Naturalists get even more pins. So these are all of the pins that we've given out over the course of the Master Naturalist program's existence. And we are just now working on deciding what the next 10 years of pins are going to be. But Master Naturalists are very proud of their pins. If you go to like a Master Naturalist event or you see someone out there, oftentimes I'll have like a fishing vest that's just covered in pins to show how many years they've been a Master Naturalist, and they're just really proud of it. And for people who go above and beyond and do what we call benchmark hours of service, so 100 hours, 500 hours, up to 25,000 hours, those people get a special pin with the number of hours that they've given. We are, I think, getting pretty close now after 20 years to someone finally getting a 25,000 hour pin. So that says how many hours some people are contributing to this program. They really enjoy it. So we're happy to, help foster that along. But part of me wonders if it's just the pin that makes them really excited. But yeah, as a Master Naturalist, we offer a lot of recognition. Not on here is also the President's Award. So we are happy to nominate any Master Naturalists who meet the qualifications set by the President. They get an award, and we hand that out at our annual conference and recognize them, let them know that the federal government thanks them for their service. Speaking of annual conferences, every year, the Master Naturalist program puts on an annual conference where people can go, they can learn more about nature in Minnesota, get their 8 hours of advanced training all in one weekend, and network with other people who also really enjoy the outdoors. So this year, if anyone's interested, our conference is going to be May 16th through 18th at Cragun's Resort out in Brainerd area. We are not yet open for registration, but if anyone's interested in, if you work or volunteer with an organization that might want to exhibit or do a presentation, we are looking for those. So I don't know if the Rovers would be interested in having a table there. We're happy to put folks in contact with folks and see if we can make that happen. Or if you all just want to show up, that's also perfectly fine. But it's a really fun gathering. And yeah, a lot of fun times are had by all, and a lot of hopefully some good learning comes out of it too. But, fun, safety, learning. So now we also have other opportunities for Master Naturalists to engage with other Master Naturalists. One of the biggest ones is we have chapters all across the state of Minnesota. Most of them are kind of located where the people are located. So the Twin Cities, Rochester, and St. Cloud. But all throughout the state, we've got groups of Master Naturalists who like to get together, talk about nature, and go on hikes together. So if you're a Master Naturalist or if you're looking to maybe connect with some folks, these might be good places to start looking. And all of this information is available on our website, minnesotamasternaturalist.org. So minnesotamasternaturalist.org is your one-stop shop for everything Master Naturalist, including our shop. You can buy our fishing shirt or our fishing vest or things like that. But it's also where you can look for upcoming courses. So if this presentation piques your interest, you can see what we have coming up in your area. You can also read more about the biomes that we talk about, as well as looking at that map of chapters and so much more. So if there's any questions that I don't answer during this presentation or afterwards, or you think of one later, you might be able to find the answer on the masternaturalist.org website, or you can find the emails of someone who can help. Okay. So at this point, we've given a little bit of an overview of the program, so I want to transition a little bit into a more retrospective of what we've done at this point. So 20 years in, the Master Naturalist program has developed a whole bunch of things. We have textbooks for our core courses. We have curated PowerPoints for all of our instructors to use for free. We have those Linnaeus lists, those field guides for all of our courses. We have an instructor training manual and a volunteer manual. We have a volunteer handbook. We develop and deliver those advanced trainings. So myself and the other members on the team will do advanced trainings to help folks get those 8 hours. And we even developed a program for youth. So the Master Naturalist program is 18 and older. That's just for registration purposes, not for any other reasons. But we have a Explorers program that's free and available for anyone to use if they want to engage youth with nature too. And you can find that on the MinnesotaMasterNaturalist.org website. Now, we also host a lot of things. We host the annual conference, which will again be in Brainerd. We have advanced trainings that we host or we help other organizations host. We host volunteer meetups for the chapters. We help manage the chapters. So we're just giving them websites now. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's fun. And we host a whole bunch of special events, especially now that it's our 20th anniversary. So if you're interested in those, they'll probably pop up on our Facebook or our masternaturalist.org website. And as far as I know, I don't believe any of them would be strictly limited to master naturalists. So good opportunity for someone to just come over and take a quick look at what we have. Now, we also can't do this alone, and we have quite a few partner programs, including Empower You, which is a university initiative to inspire volunteers. We partner with the Aquatic Invasive Species Detectors Program so that we can help keep things like zebra mussels or spiny water fleas out of our waterways in Minnesota, because if there's one thing that I've learned so far, it's that everyone in Minnesota is very proud of their lakes. So we want to keep those looking nice. We partner with the Bee Atlas. So that's a project for tracking bumblebees, especially the endangered rusty patch bumblebee. And our volunteers contribute a lot of hours to that. And recently, we've worked with a new program called Nature for New Minnesotans, which was aimed at getting folks, English as second language learners, to engage with nature through using it as an opportunity to learn more about the English language. So we have a whole lot of partners, and I didn't include a lot of them on here because if I included everyone that we partnered with, all of the nature centers and other organizations, that would be a 30-minute PowerPoint in and of itself. And I figured you all wouldn't want to sit through that. But we have a lot of partners, and we're very proud of the organization that we've built up because of the wonderful partnerships that we've had the opportunity to create. And as a result of these partnerships, we've moved from having 20 folks in our first class in 2005 to just this year graduating 433 Master Naturalists from 25 Master Naturalist courses across Minnesota. So even though we've been around for 20 years, there's still hundreds of people a year who are taking new classes from us. And we're really glad to see that there's still interest and that we haven't burned out. Now, this graph didn't fit nicely for the 20 years, but you can see our most offered course is the Big Woods, Big Rivers Biome course. So for those of you in the Twin Cities metro area who haven't yet taken the Master Naturalist course, but may be interested, there's probably going to be quite a few of those in your area soon. A lot of courses post right around the beginning of the year. So we're just about at that time where they're going to all open up.
Can you do a Roth?
Now, the Northwoods Great Lakes, also very popular, and not a whole lot of folks get to take the Prairies one. There's just not as many of them offered. But I will say there is a virtual Prairies course that will be offered soon. So even if you don't live near the prairie, that might be a good opportunity to learn more about that unique ecosystem and only have to drive out there like one day for the field trip instead of, a whole week or 8 weeks in a row for the 48-hour course. Now, this, I think, is probably the most important graph because, as I said, we're not an education program. We're a volunteer program. And since 2005, people have contributed a lot of volunteer hours. So just this year alone, in 2024, we had over 97,000 volunteer hours reported. Even during COVID, during 2020, we still had over 80,000 volunteer hours reported for that year. And these hours make an impact. So in addition to just the massive amounts of help that these volunteers have given to our ecosystems, we also calculate the economic value of what they've done. And just this year, volunteers contributed $3.5 million worth of free labor to help Minnesota's ecosystems thrive. So we are just always blown away with how much our Master Naturalist volunteers do, with the generosity that they give their time and their talents. And yeah, this program would not be possible without all of their work. And if they were here, I would want to personally thank all of them. So thank you, Barry, for being a Master Naturalist. All right. So I think this quote sums it up really well. So this is an actual quote from an actual Master Naturalist. We did not pay them to say this, but this may sound really hokey, but taking this class changed my life. I feel like a different person. I feel more in line with who I am for having reestablished my connection in a concrete way with the natural world. The natural world is key to my mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And this is not the only person that has said something like this. This program does make a difference for both Minnesota's ecosystems and for the people who are in it. And we're very proud that we can have both of those impacts and be whatever people really need it to be, whether that's helping them reconnect with nature or giving them another avenue to occupy their time, get them outdoors, whatever it is they want to take away from this program, we hope that we can help them find it. So, if this were a room where I could see people's hands better, I might ask how many people are interested in being Master Naturalists now or getting involved. Zoom doesn't quite let that happen so well, so I'm not going to. But if you're really interested, if this has piqued your interest, you're always welcome to take a Master Naturalist course. There's generally tons offered across the state in any given year. And like I said, if you have questions about things like that, just let us know. You can attend the Gathering Partners Conference at Craigens in May. Even if you're not a volunteer currently, we're really happy to have anyone show up. You can attend or share volunteer opportunities. So if the Rovers is, say, getting together to do some habitat restoration, we're more than happy to cross-pollinate that on the Master Naturalist page and send some folks your way. Or if you just want to take a little bit more of a passive thing right now, you can watch for special events because we may have something coming up soon in your area where you can meet some of the Master Naturalists out in the community right now and learn a little bit more about what they do. If you ever do have any questions about the program, these are the folks that you can reach out to. Andrea Lorick Strauss and Amy Rager have been with the program for quite a long time. I believe that before I started, the shortest time that anyone had been with the program was 17 years. So they are a wealth of knowledge and have a long history with this program. Julie Larson is our excellent administrative specialist. So if you have questions about registration, she's your go-to. Like I said, I do a lot of advanced training and things like that. So I'm always happy to answer those questions or general questions. And our program coordinator, Blake, is also very helpful for many of the things that you might have questions about, like volunteer service hours or how do I do this or that. He's a really great asset to the team and we're happy to have him. There's also just a general info box that you can mail and that'll get sent to whoever will be the best person to answer that question. So that information can also be found on our website, minnesotamasternaturalist.org. So with that, I want to put up this. This is just Extension's commitment to making sure that our programs are accessible to everyone. And I want to thank you all for letting me speak here, for lending me your time and your ears. And hopefully the couple jokes I made weren't too bad. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that we may have now.
Griffin, my name's Melissa Brown. Are the presentations, any of the presentations available through the Master Naturalist website or on YouTube?
It depends on the presentation. So are you talking about the core courses or the advanced trainings or?
Well, like you're having it sounds like the prairie area is having a special presentation. I guess anything. I
Yeah.
mean, I could understand maybe core courses aren't because
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so the core courses, they generally aren't available on the internet. The Prairies one, we are having a virtual course, so that'll be all over Zoom for 11 weeks instead of in person.
okay.
But some of our advanced trainings, those are available more widely because those are often held by other organizations. So some of those presentations are available on like YouTube or recordings might be available through some of our partner organizations. We don't have a very large digital presence right now. It's something that we may work on improving a little bit, but
Okay.
that's a great
Thanks.
question.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to act as moderator. Can you, because I don't know that you can see the chat. Someone else is
Mhm.
asking, for those of us who are working daytime hours, does U of M Extension offer training courses in the evenings?
Yeah, so the Master Naturalist training courses are kind of on a timetable depending on the organization that offers it. So on our website, it'll tell you all of the times that they are. For the virtual courses that are led by the Master Naturalist team, we do have an evening option that I believe is 6:30 to 8. Um, so this year we'll be doing prairies at that time. Next year, I believe it'll be big woods, big rivers. But yeah, we we know that some people, most people work. Um, and yeah, a lot of instructors will come up with courses to kind of cater to that, or they might have a weekend course or something like that. But great
Okay.
question.
And would you say again what you showed three
Hmm.
biomes but mentioned a fourth? Would you say what the fourth one is again?
Yes. The fourth one is the tallgrass aspen parklands, and that is way up
Oh,
in the northwestern part of Minnesota.
okay.
Uh, when they developed this course, the courses that they have, it was not officially a biome at that time. It has since become an official biome.
Hmm, okay.
Um, but there's not a whole lot of folks there, not a whole lot of interest in making that its own biome course. So
Oh,
it's kind of rolled into the big woods, big rivers, and we make sure that we talk about it and let folks know that this is a really cool place that you should go visit if you have a day and a half to go explore.
thank you.
Hmm.
I'm not real familiar with the biome termino.
Hmm.
What does that mean exactly? That's a particular type of geological area, or is it a yeah?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the biomes are broadly, it's the plant communities in an area and the conditions. So, like the Northwoods biome has a lot of coniferous forests and it's generally pretty wet and cold. Um, the prairie biome is a lot hotter generally and drier, and then doesn't have a lot of trees. So it's kind of the geological conditions mixed with the precipitation, mixed with the animals and plants that are there.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh.
So, great question. Thank you.
So, hi, this is Barry. I'd like to make a comment. So,
Hmm.
I became a Minnesota Master Naturalist 2 years ago with one of the biomes. I'd like to do the other ones, but I don't know why I waited so long to do it because it was really cool after I did it because I got connected in with so many different people that I felt were my people that were interested
Hmm,
in outdoors and nature and plants and all that good stuff. And then I've been doing a lot of different volunteer activities. Right now, I've been volunteering at the Raptor Center. I've done seed collection. I've done so many different cool things. And also, I've gone to the last two conferences, and I'm planning to go to the conference this year. I just think it's a lot of fun, and I really hope that I can do those other classes because I'd like to do all three of the biome classes,
Hmm.
but I've only managed to do one so far. So, but I think it's just a really great program, and I think a lot of rovers know me. So if you have any questions, after the presentation that don't get answered today, just get a hold of me. Yeah, it's a great program.
hmm,
Thank you. Your check is in the mail.
Okay, and I also want to mention then that the group that run this, and I haven't met Griffin. I don't know whether he was at the last event I was at, but the other people I have met are really, really nice people, and they're very sociable. And there's a couple of events they have each year. There's a meetup in the Twin Cities at a brewery, in case that gets anyone's attention, where they provide some food and there's some really nice beer. So like I said, it's a great networking organization. So if you want to find volunteer opportunities or increase your knowledge, it's just a great group of people to get connected with. And I have run into a handful of Minnesota Master Naturalists within Rovers. I'm not exactly sure how many there are, but there's definitely some interesting connections because I got involved through the Minnesota Mycological Society because someone there was doing the Minnesota Master Naturalist, and then some of them were in Rovers, and so there's these kind of connections because we have a lot of similar interests. So I think it's a great program. I love it. And now you can double the check.
I was about to ask, is there a time limit from when you begin your training to when you finish? Yeah, so the Master Naturalist trainings are generally, it's kind of a class. So they are offered, it's a 40-hour course that's offered on a set schedule. So often it's, every Saturday for a couple months, or some of them are offered 5 days a week for 1 week for people who are really dedicated to getting it done very quickly. But yeah, it's generally a pretty discrete time frame, and after that, everything is kind of on your own time. So whenever you can make time for volunteering or advanced training, it's whatever works best for you. Thank you for the question, Julie.
Griffin, thank you so much for taking the time tonight to share this with us and, educate us. Really appreciate that.
Thanks for watching this Minnesota Rovers presentation. If you want to see more, please click on the link to our channel or the subscribe button below. Thank you.